Okay. All right. Yeah. Do you want to let them in? We can kind of start, I guess. Hey, everybody. We'll just wait for a few people to come in before we get started. I think you're on mute, Dr. Casson. Yeah, same time next Wednesday, November 17th. No problem. Yep. Okay, yeah, we'll just give like a couple more minutes. So far it looks like we have 3 other doctors here. Okay, looks like we can get started. If people kind of log in late, that's okay. So welcome everybody to the specialty consult clinics for the RASC clinics. This is the workflow review that will be going. So everything that we've done previous with the clinics, this is kind of the end, close to the end before go live, just to go over everything that we've done, and just if you have any kind of last minute questions that we can kind of go over as well. So before we get started, can everybody just see my screen? Just want to make sure. Yeah? Okay, good. Thanks, Tony. All right. So before we get started, I just want to acknowledge that today we work and live on the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh territories. Just to go over the agenda for today, we'll start off with some housekeeping and some introductions, and then we'll go into Referral Triage, Ambulatory Organizer, Outpatient Chart, Quick Orders, Documentation, Message Center, and then if there are any questions at the end. Has everyone, or who hasn't, or who has not used Cerner before? I'm just kind of assuming that everyone is kind of familiar with Cerner. Good, okay. So yeah, so some housekeeping items. If you are not speaking, please mute yourself. When you do speak, just state your name. Sometimes if no one's sharing their screen, it's hard to know who's talking or who's asking the question. If there are any non-urgent questions, maybe just provide that or type it in the chat. We'll have Lisa kind of checking the chat as well if there are any questions. And then we will be recording this session, so if there's any objections, please speak up now. Nope, perfect. All right, we'll start recording. So we'll just start off with some introductions. So my name is Greg. I'm one of the clinical informatics specialists with the provider portfolio. And I'll go Lisa. You want to introduce yourself? Good. And then do we want Tony? Do you want to introduce yourself next? And maybe state what clinic you're working on as well. Yeah, that's correct. Thanks. Let's go Dr. Khan. Do a little intro. Yep. Perfect. Dr. Chatworth. Perfect, thank you. Dr. Kimmel. Okay, perfect, thank you. And then I think Dr. Beeden. Oh, I think you're on mute. Happens. So gets everyone all the time. Thanks. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, I think that's everyone. If I missed anyone, no? All right, we'll get started. So first we'll just go over referral triage. I know kind of this is one thing that's a little bit different from the inpatient settings. So just the referral workflow. So to go over this workflow, we have referrals that can come in from external referrals, so doctors' offices, other clinics, and then there's the internal referrals that come in through other sites that are, or other clinics or doctors that are live on Cerner. I believe it's the Neurology clinic where you're only going to be getting internal referrals from ED. And then just to go back to the workflow, yeah, perfect. So yeah, so just go back to the workflow here. So then once the internal referrals come in, the clerk will get them. They will place the referral onto the ready for triage list. And then from there, this is where the attending provider or the triaging provider will review the referrals and then either accept or reject that referral. If it's accepted, the clerk will then see that and then change the encounter type to a pre-outpatient encounter and then schedule an appointment for that patient. If the referral is rejected, then a rejection letter will get sent to, the clerks will send a rejection letter to the referring provider as well. Are there any questions regarding the referral, kind of this workflow? No? Okay. So I'll go into Power Chart and then I'll just go over kind of the referral triage process. So once you log into Power Chart, usually it takes you kind of to Message Center as your kind of home base. And then once you go to, if you're doing referral triage, you'll go to referral management, which is just on the top here. So you'll click this. Every clinic is going to have kind of their own location and medical service. So we have put that down on the provider workbook that you can review. It's pretty straightforward though. So in this case, so your location you'll find, so today we're going to use the general internal medicine, but essentially you would go here. Once you set this and save it, then you don't have to do it again. It's kind of what you need to do it for the first time, which is a lot of things in Cerner. Once you do it once, it kind of remembers what you've done. So that's always good. So you always want to just type in like SPH, and then let's just look up for the internal medicine OB. Let's look at that. So there's where it comes up. So if you want to say for the OB clinic, type in that, and then you can just highlight that for that clinic. Today we'll use the general internal medicine, so that's already selected. Make sure your referral status is ready for triage, and then your medical service is, for this clinic, is general internal medicine. For allergy, no, I think for everyone that's on here, I think it's only vascular or neurology. I think it's only neurology that has a separate medical service. So for neurology referral triage, you choose neurology. Oh yes, yeah, sorry, palliative, you will have your own as well. Palliative medicine there, you'll choose that. And then once you've set everything, don't worry about this tumor group. This was only built for BC cancer, so just ignore that, keep it blank. And then once you've kind of set this, you can come here and save it, and then custom save it. I'll just do it as GIM, and click OK. And then every time you come in, if you're doing referral triage for multiple clinics, you can always save them, and then you can kind of choose which one that you're working on. Once you do that, you can just hit run, and then your list gets populated. So this is where, so just go over each of the columns. So there's patient name, your age, your gender. You can see the referral date when it was received, and then when the referral when the referral was placed on the ready for triage list. You'll see the referral status, which will mostly be ready for triage because that's what you've set kind of up here. And then this is the information that gets populated by the clerk. So the clerk will, from the referral that was brought in, this is where they'll enter the reason for visit. If there's other information that the clerk will need to provide for the referral process, they'll enter it in these encounter comments. So this icon right here, this is what it'll show. If there's comments, you can just click that, and then you can just review some of the extra comments that are put in. Again, this is just the medical service here. This is a referring provider, and then you have kind of other information for that patient. During our design sessions, there wasn't anything to list for the triaging provider or triaging priority. It seemed like it was kind of whoever was the triaging provider at the time, they would kind of go through the list. Any questions on this page, the referral management page? So usually for internal referrals, or mostly for most of the referrals, a lot of the information that you'll need would be kind of in the reason for visit or encounter comments. The clerks have been shown and taught to enter as much information here, just so you don't have to, I guess, keep on clicking or kind of search for information. However, yeah. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. So with So yeah, you can. So I'll show that to you. So we'll just go into a patient here. So to go into a patient, you just click once, and then it'll actually bring up this assigned relationship, and then you'll just do triage provider. So then you'll go into the patient here. So most of the patients that were just on that list were created internally. So I'm actually just going to open a different patient that was used before because it has better kind of external, the external process. So I'm just opening up this patient. The reason why they weren't on the list was I ended up taking them off earlier today. But let's just say we clicked into this patient and we'll review their chart. So if you need more information, like what Dr. Khan kind of brought up, so you'll go into Referral Triage here. If it was a external referral, you go to your documentation here, and then usually it's on the top, or usually it's somewhere in there where it'll say referral package. So you would click that, and then you can view the document, and then this is where the original external referral would show up. So again, this is just a test page, but essentially this is where it would show up. For internal referrals, if you wanted to see kind of the same, so again, what we've taught the clerks was that they would take all the information that's on the internal referral and to put it into the comments or the reason for visit. However, again, if you wanted to go to the order of and see the exact referral placement, if you go to orders, you can go to find the referral order, so say this one, and then you can kind of open that up or just review the order information. And then you can kind of go through here and review that history if you really wanted to. Usually with internal referrals, it's not, like enough information is on the referral management page. Is it Dr. Kimmel? Do you have a question? Okay. They are sent to specific faxes for different clinics. So I believe the palliative clinic, you'll have your own fax, and then your clerk will take care of that. Yeah. Okay. So back to the workflow. So once you've gone through enough of the information or documentation you need for that patient to make a decision if you want to accept or reject them, you'll go to your outpatient quick orders. Once you go, just make sure you're in outpatient quick orders. We don't want you to get confused with just the regular quick orders for inpatients. The difference between outpatient quick orders and just the regular quick orders tab is that the outpatient quick orders, all the orders that are in here are set to future order. So once the patient is just discharged from the clinic at midnight, that's how the outpatient encounters work. They are discharged at midnight. The orders that you put in will not get canceled. So just make sure you're in the outpatient quick orders setting. So back to accepting or rejecting a referral. So if under the St. Paul's and MSJ referral outpatient tab here, you'll see the accept or reject referral. So let's say again we want to accept this patient. So we'll just click accept. You'll go to your order inbox, go to modify details, and then from here you can state how soon you want to see the patient. You can do next available appointment, and then any special instructions that you want to include. Right now we're teaching providers to type in if you want to schedule the patient for in-clinic or Zoom or over the phone. There's currently something being built where it would be a separate drop-down to choose the visit modality, but right now it's not live. So right now you would just type in here how you want the clerks to schedule that patient for your initial appointment. Once you do that, then you just click sign. And then it would be the exact same thing for reject referral. So I'll show you what it looks like here. So if you go reject referral, modify, and then here the drop downs are these three options, as you can see, and then you can also provide any information here if you want to. Just going to cancel this order though. So that's the referral triage process. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah. That's correct. Unfortunately, there is not. No, unfortunately, no. Yeah, that was a question that was brought up during one of our other sessions, and unfortunately, we can't have the kind of like accept reject button on the actual patient referral management list. Yeah, I think that was brought up, and I don't have any information on kind of the status of that or whatnot, but I think it has been brought up. But yeah, Dr. Ramani, I think I saw your hand go up first. Do you have a question? We can't hear you. Maybe just type it into the chat. We can't hear you, unfortunately. Sorry. Maybe Nadia, do you have a question as well? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely understand that, and yeah, this clinic isn't the first clinic that's kind of brought that up. We've heard it from other clinics as well. And I do believe I think they're looking into it, but right now it's something that, yeah, we're not sure. Like it's something that I don't know where it's going from now, but unfortunately, yeah, the process or the workflow that we have now is what it is. Let me check. That's okay. Yeah, go ahead. Anna, we hear you now. Yeah. There's always some technical difficulties, that's okay. Yeah. So the MOAs or the clerks, they have, we've created kind of like auto text for them. So if they do have to send a rejection letter, they could then create it in Cerner, and then yes, they would have to print it and then fax it. But the rejection referral still has to go through Cerner, just so it's documented on the patient chart. Yeah. Mhm. That's actually getting worked out right now. I know it's a long process, and as these clinics are kind of going live, a lot of these issues are being brought up and they are kind of being worked on. It's just I think they're making sure, or they want all the clinics to go live first, while as they kind of slowly work on some of the other sustainment issues that kind of get brought up. So it's kind of like, is there a workflow or workaround now? Yes, then we can kind of work on it as it goes. So yeah, a lot of things are being looked at to kind of speed up and make things more efficient. But yeah, it's just unfortunately, yes, there are some things that are slower, but essentially a lot of things would hopefully be quicker and more efficient in the end. Okay, so just moving on here, so just back to the PowerPoint. We'll go back, or now we'll move on to the day of the visit. So when a patient has an appointment, say today or on the day, they'll come to the RASC clerk, and this is for inpatient clinics or inpatient appointments. They'll come to the RASC clerk, the clerk will check them in and then assign them to either the waiting room or the consult room if available. Then the provider then reviews their ambulatory organizer or slate for the day. They'll see the patient, review the patient's chart, and then the provider will see the patient and then document any information or do their documentations, put in their orders or any follow-up orders. And then in the end, after the appointment, the RASC clerk will either schedule a follow-up appointment or if they need to change anything in the patient's kind of schedule or encounter, they will. For virtual appointments, I'll go into that as well once I get into the demo. But essentially the patient will show up for the appointment, they will see the provider, and then there is a separate section where the clerk will get notified that the patient has showed up, and then they'll kind of make the proper changes or documentation. So we'll just get back into Power Chart now. So same thing, once you're in Power Chart, you'll go to your ambulatory organizer just on the top here. Once you go there, this is pretty much like your slate, very similar to what you may be using today. So this is where, I don't want to confuse everyone, but this is where you'll have to choose kind of like your name or what you're categorized under. So in the provider workbook, I've listed, there's a table here if everyone can see of everyone's name and their resource group. The reason for this is because we've learned from our previous sessions that a lot of the providers work with fellows and med students. So this is where you'll be able to kind of see what to choose to log in. So kind of going back to the ambulatory organizer, I'll just give an example of how it works. So for example, right now I'm just in the general internal medicine resource group. So this is the whole clinic group. And you'll get to see kind of everyone's patients for the day. Obviously, I'm sure you don't want to see everyone's. So if you wanted to just see your own, so I'll just go into Dr. Chan's, I've used him for today's session. He'll be able to just see his own patients. So it'll kind of filter that. But then if Dr. Chan has other like fellows or students working with him, this is where this table will come in. So Dr. Chan here, and then he'll try to search for his resource group. So if he goes into his resource group here, so I feel like it's right here, and hit apply. Then he'll see that med student has an appointment at this time, and then his fellow has an appointment at this time as well. So you can kind of see all that. Again, if you just want to look at your own slate, just choose your own name. So let's just go back to just his Dr. Chan. So this is his patient for today. If you want, there is another option to see kind of everything in different columns. So if you go to calendar view, which is just right here, you hit tab or click the calendar view, make sure you're on day, make sure you're on the day. And then here I've already preset it. So if Dr. Chan chose his resource group, then he can see his patients for that day in this column, his fellows in this column, med students, and then we have other for residents as well. So everything's kind of laid out depending on what you want to see. Again, it's in the provider workbook as well to see to give you an idea of like how you want to see it. So this is kind of different ways. Yeah, so we'll just go back to the workbook. So if you were, so here, this is in the workbook as well. So this top one is the resource group for your whole clinic, okay? And then if you were to separate it down, this is how it was broken down individually. And then on this side, broken down to individual resource groups, if that makes sense. And then, that's correct, yeah. That day, yes. Yeah, so for example, so if you were to go into the SPH hypertension resource group, you will see everyone's appointment. You would see like Dr. Mangat's appointments, you'll see your own appointments, you'll see Dr. Bittman's appointments, and all their other students as well and fellows. So if you want to see you and your trainees, then you would use your resource group. So you would use this one here, your hypertension con resource group. And if you wanted just to see your individual ones, then it's just your name. If that makes sense, hopefully. Yeah, okay, good. Okay, any other questions on that? No, perfect, okay. So then I'll just go back to the Ambulatory Organizer here. So again, you'll have your appointment time here, the duration of the appointment, your patient, and then their age and gender. And then here, there'll just be some details that the clerks have put in. So in this case, this appointment's a virtual appointment, and then the phone number for that should be below as well. Again, I'm sure there's a question that might come up that the Zoom link is not attached to Cerner currently. Again, it's something that they're looking into to put in and build so that the Zoom link would show up right here. But right now it's not, so you'll just have to, I'm not sure how the clerks will be doing it or contacting or letting you know kind of the Zoom links as well. But I think that's still the same workflow as what you're doing currently for that. So then when we get to this column, so all you have to remember is use this column only when you're doing virtual appointments or phone appointments. All you have to do for virtual or phone appointments is change this and click arrived. You don't have to do anything to this status unless it's a virtual or phone appointment. In clinic appointments, you don't have to do this because the clerk will change this. The reason to change this is so that this is what alerts the clerk to change the pre-outpatient encounter to a virtual encounter. So this is kind of what notifies the clerk what to do. If a patient does not show up for their virtual or phone appointment, in this notes section here, just click, and then you'll just type in no show, and then you can just save it. And then this is where the clerks will know. They'll see kind of that there's a note there. They'll see the no show kind of down here that you've put in. So again, for virtual and phone appointments, if they've shown up or arrived, change the status to arrived. If no show, then change or write in no show. For in-clinic appointments, you don't have to change anything here. Good. All right. So let's just say this appointment is now, so we'll just click into this patient's appointment. Again, this assigned relationship will come up, but this time you'll choose consulting provider. And then click OK. So similar to a lot of your inpatient settings, but I just want to go over these top tabs that are kind of up here. I just want to make sure that when you are working in these clinics, to make sure you're using the outpatient tabs. If you are using the inpatient ones, it might get kind of confusing. So to access your outpatient charts or your outpatient quick orders, this plus button right here, you'll just click that, and then you'll just open your two outpatient tabs here. So just to go over the outpatient chart, I know most of you are familiar with it, but we want you to stick to using the outpatient chart and then accessing all the patient information from, we call them M pages. So this is where you'll access all your information. You're able to modify this by just clicking and dragging. If you want to put certain things in a certain order, you can also do that. You can also go to this on the right side here, and then if there are some of those components or M pages that you don't want to see, you can deselect them. And then once you do that, then they will disappear off this list. So it might not, if you don't need a lot of this information, you can do that as well. It's some customization or personalization that you want. So yeah, so again, just going through this, you can see kind of patient information. You can see previous visits. From these M pages here, you can also go into the actual area. So if you say in visits, you can click this top title bar here and click that, and then that'll actually bring you to the patient information, so you can see kind of all their visits. So just back to the provider view here, you can go into forms, or you can go into documents. You can see various documents here. Again, if you click the title here, it'll bring you to the document page as well. Here, with documents, you can also create filters. So if you wanted to kind of only filter documents that you've created or your own documents, or maybe documents from only your clinic, if you go to advanced filters, there's a lot of options here that you can kind of go into. So there's a lot of different document notes or documents or notes that you can select. You can also select yourself and type in your name just in this section too, if you just want to see notes from yourself. And then if you do kind of customize some stuff, you can save it as a separate filter. Again, just to kind of state that we will be supporting the Go Live RASC clinics for 2 weeks starting November 22nd. So all of this personalization stuff, if you have any questions, we can definitely help you kind of on hand. So I know if you don't get to this right away, you might forget. Again, a lot of the stuff is in the provider workbook as well. That outlines kind of step-by-step how to do some of this personalization stuff if you want to do that. So going back to provider view, again, they're just going through some of these tabs, vital signs and measurements. Just to show you here, if you wanted to click into the title, it'll kind of outline your results here. If you go to this plus or minus button right here, there is a vital sign and measurements power form. So once you do that, if you click into it, you can enter in all your vital signs for the patient if you do take them, height, weight, and all that. And then once you do, you can select that check mark button. Once you do enter the information here, it'll actually show up in the vital signs and measurements here, and it'll tell you when you took them. So today I did them at 1 o'clock. What that also does is if you go into your documents page, it'll actually automatically save your results as a clinic note as well. So again, these are all the documents that I've created. So yeah, and then you can go into your home medications for the patient. They'll be listed here. Any labs, anything else kind of that you would go into the patient chart would be listed here, similar to what you do for inpatients. Are there any questions with kind of the outpatient chart? I know most of you are familiar with it. Yep. Yeah, I'll go over them. I have it kind of listed on the agenda to go over them a little bit more later. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So that's the outpatient chart. And then we'll go to quick orders. So this is where you'll have some of your medications, labs, imagings that are kind of pre-populated in the outpatient quick orders page here. However, I know that most of the clinics kind of have their own kind of labs or medications or imaging or diagnostics that you would typically order. So what you do, and this is where we can either set up a one-on-one or just during go live, or where we can help you set up kind of a favorites folder. And then with that favorites folder, you can place it on this list, and then that'll be easy for you to kind of to click and choose. So for example, what I'm talking about, I've kind of created a sample one is for hypertension. So I've created, say, the hypertension orders that might be commonly ordered. So here I've kind of saved a separate folder, so then you can just use this folder and then select what you commonly order instead of typing it or trying to find it individually. So again, how to do that is you would go to this plus button here where it says new order entry, select that, and then you'll select this drop down arrow right beside the star. This opens up your folders. And then to do that, what you would do, these usually aren't there, but you'd save it under the favorites heading. You would create your folder. So I'll just do workflow review folder here. And then you would kind of save that, and then you would close it. And then here, this is where you would, let's just use the quick order. So you've created your folder, and say you go into your medications, maybe choose some of the medications that you maybe would commonly prescribe, maybe go into imaging, and then maybe save some tests that you would normally order. So then you would go to your inbox here, and then just go to modify details, and then you'll see your orders here. So you can click on each one of them and customize them, or type in kind of how you normally order them and go through each one here. Once you've done all that, you can highlight them all and then right click and then go to add to favorites, and then you can find your folder. Should be in here somewhere. don't see it in here. Not sure why. I'll just have to look at that. But anyways, you would say go to your, let's just put in this folder. So go into here, and then you'll save those orders in that folder. And then because you'll be doing this in an actual patient, you just make sure you cancel out of that patient. You don't want to order anything. And then to get that on the list, so what you'll do is you'll go to your this button here. You'll go to your add folder, and then you'll find the folder that you created. So I think I was using this RASC test folder. You'll just hit select, and then it'll show up here with all the specific orders that you want. Again, you can always go to this button here, and then drag and drop, which means that you can kind of click it and move it where you want. Again, with I can't move it there. Anyways, with some of these as well, you can kind of color code them to make them stand out a little bit. So that gives you some, makes it stand out so you can see them. You can also move all these other ones too to make it kind of your personalization. Any questions with quick orders and creating your favorites? Yeah, Tony? Yep. Yeah, we'll be in the clinic. Yeah, for sure. There's a yeah. So a lot of the information, or basically all this information, is in the provider workbook. So that'll be kind of available for all the providers to take a look at, or if they have any questions to look at. And then, yeah, we'll be providing on-site support during the first 2 weeks of go live. After that, like obviously we're always kind of on hand if you need to reach out with anything. I know a lot of probably the first 2 weeks will be a lot of kind of this customization on making things a little bit more efficient on this end. So yeah, so that's kind of what we'll be there to kind of help out with some of the workflow stuff. So yeah, yep, go ahead, Nadia. Yeah. Yep. Yep. So unfortunately, you can create, like these separate kind of windows here. You can create basically like as many as you want. Like you can take out all these like this medication labs imaging. You can take them out if you don't want them and just have your own. Like you can have one kind of window or folder that's your hypertension follow-up orders. You can have one that's hypertension new orders or something. But once you create the window, you do have to click each one to order them. There isn't a button to do like order all in that window, unfortunately. Yeah. So I know I totally understand that a lot of providers want to minimize the amount of clicks that they do, and unfortunately, sometimes this isn't the greatest for that. But what you can do is you can kind of preset these favorites on like exactly how you order it. So you can type in, so for example, I'll just click into this one. If you go in here, like any information that you change in all these boxes, once you do that and then you save it into that folder, then that's how it'll be saved. So you don't, even though you order it, you don't have to like go into this and kind of redo everything. If that helps. Yeah. Okay. So like what orders or what orders were you looking to do? Like, are you talking about like diagnostics or? Okay. I believe you can. So if we so say there's I think these are mostly referrals, but I'm just trying to understand a little bit. Okay, let's try that. Yeah. Okay. I'm not a hundred. Usually, if there's only one location for that order or for that test, then yeah, it will be sent to them. I'm not 100% sure. I can always double check on that unless Lisa, if you know that question or know the answer. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Lisa. Okay. So yeah, so that kind of goes back to actually what I was going to talk about next. So when you are ordering like diagnostics and imaging, so for all X-ray requisitions, they will automatically print to the clinic printer to give to the patient because they're not scheduled. Any other tests, so CTs, you would choose the location for the patient. And then, so for that, so it would be scheduling location. So then you would kind of choose kind of that location, and then that location that you choose, they'll get kind of the notification to schedule that patient, if that makes sense. Okay. Are there any questions with quick orders at all? Yeah, Tony? Yeah. Yeah. So right now, like all the clinics or all the like depending on your location, so the patient location. So right now this is Gen Internal Medicine. Depending on the location, they will get sent to um, I believe it's the RASC clerk printer. This was set up and there isn't kind of it's not really flexible. Just because we didn't want to confuse the clerks with some of the printing as well. However, there are two clinics that have been set up to use a separate, I guess, printing option. And then with that, they're able to kind of choose the location of the printer. This is the reason for that is that they they sometimes do their virtual appointments off-site. And so they would want to like possibly print some stuff kind of like at their home printer. Lisa, do you know the flexibility of changing printers? Oh, right, yeah. 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 Okay. Anna, did you have a question? Oh. Yep. 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 Yeah, here, so I'll show you what you're asking. So say you ordered a CT without contrast, you go into the order, and then say the patient wanted to get it done, that there's a location that's not listed here. You would just do print to paper, this option here, and then it'll just print out, and then you can just give it to the patient, and then they can take it wherever they want to go. Yep. Nadia? Yeah, so yeah, you can share them. So for example, so if you go to this kind of new order window here, if you go to shared, you can type in, so say for yourself, they can copy from you. They'll type in your name here, and then your favorites or your folders that you've created, it'll populate here. And then they can click it, and then they can select what they want and save it as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so yeah, so they can copy from you, but they can't change anything of yours. So don't, like, if you know, if it's kind of like more personal, then they can't change anything of yours. You can change your personalized stuff. They can only copy. Yep. Okay. Any other questions on that? No? Okay. So yeah, so we'll just move on to kind of documentation now. Oh, sorry, Anna, did you have another question, or was? Oh, okay, yeah, okay. That's what I kind of thought, but okay, thanks, Lisa, double checking. All right, so just wanted to go over some more documentation stuff as well. So once you're, however, whatever your workflow is on when you start your documentation, I do want to lead you back to the Outpatient tab here, and then from here, if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a bunch of notes that have been saved for the providers under this tab. We recommend that you try to use one of these notes minus the progress note. Don't use a progress note. The reason being is that clinic notes, consult notes, they get sent to Accelerus or automatically get sent to Accelerus and CareConnect. However, progress notes do not. And so there's been a lot of kind of issues on like why they're even on here. We're looking at possibly getting them removed from the outpatient settings. But just to kind of get you to use either like the top two notes for your documentation. So just go into the first clinic note. I'll just show you what that looks like. So this is an enterprise kind of build note template. And this is, for your outpatient clinics. It pulls in a bunch of information, vitals, any problems, procedures, medications. It automatically pulls that into this note. So if you want to do that, and then any other kind of assessment or information that you want to type in, you can. With this note, what I like about this enterprise note is that if you do start it, you can save it, and then if you go in and change something, if you hit this, say, refresh button right here, it'll refresh kind of that section. So that's why I like kind of using these ones. So that's just that one note. So just going back to here, so if you kind of build your own auto texts, and I know some of the clinics kind of sent in some templates for auto texts, and we created some for you. You can go to the free text note, and what that does, it just opens up a blank note. And then if you had kind of an auto text that we created for you, so for example, we created some auto text for the general internal medicine clinic. So for this, again, we'll show you, we'll create a little cheat sheet on kind of how to pull up auto text. So you'll do comma, and then it'll be the clinic. So let's do the clinic consult note that we created. So it has the heading, and then down below it'll kind of pull and list the information that you want. So it pulls in the reason for referral, pulls in the home medications, allergies, lab results, diagnostics, imaging, and then these blank boxes here, this is where you can kind of put in your own information. We can pull this information as well if needed, and then kind of an open box here that you can kind of type in. The only thing that is different from creating your own auto text and using the enterprise build is that if you do change something after you've saved it, there isn't really a way to kind of refresh that window or that kind of area as I showed before. So this is kind of auto text if you want to create your own. I can always show you how to create your own as well. So if you go to the top here, it says auto text copy. You can just click into that. And then if you go to this manage auto text button here, you can click there, and then this plus button here, you can click there, and then that opens up basically a blank page where you can type in kind of your template or what you need if you want to create your own. And this is where the abbreviation is where you want to save it on how you're going to find it when you open up a document. And then the description is just what the auto text is. So again, so on this side, here's your abbreviation. So this is how you would find them. See how they all have a comma, just so you can quickly pull them up. And then just the description of each note here. So these are some of the ones that I've created for some of the clinics as well. Any questions on the documentation right now? Yeah, Nadia? Yeah. Yeah, so where these boxes are, when you're using your speech mic, you can toggle between these boxes, and then you kind of speak, and it'll kind of recognize what you're saying, and then there's also on the speech mic, I forget what the Lisa, do you know the company again that uses? Now I totally forget what it's called with Cerner. I'm just drawing a blank here. Fesser? Is it Fesser? Yeah, Fesser, sorry. So there are kind of, like what you said, shortcuts that you can do. So if you're saying, so for example, in, say, reason for referral and you want to put in the patient's name, there's like a shortcut where you can say patient's name, and then it'll pre-populate that. Is that what you're kind of getting at? Oh yeah, so in your kind of like auto text templates, I believe Dr. Bittman sent me a bunch of templates for the hypertension clinic. I haven't built them yet, but yes, if there's a sentence that says saw blank or like insert patient name today at this clinic, seen by blank doctor. Yes, we can create and we'll make that so it auto populates kind of just to kind of go back, do you know when you went into the patient and you selected consulting provider? So then we'll have that so we can pre-populate the consulting provider in that note. So yeah, so it'll kind of, with your auto text, it'll pre-populate that information that you require. So I haven't gotten into kind of the auto texts for them yet, but I believe yours, yeah, it would pre-populate that information for you. Yeah, we'll create drop downs for you. So actually, I think, let me double check. I think I did have one that had some information that you might see, so maybe it might not be, or maybe it's not in this one. Hold on, I do want to show you just to make sure that, or maybe it was picked. Yeah, exactly. So this is, it doesn't have some of the name or date that pre-populates, but it has these drop downs. So for example, they wanted yes or no drop downs here, and then here they wanted specific immunology, that's kind of a drop down. With drop downs as well with these, if they selected one, then you can type like after as well. It's kind of a separate thing, but yeah. Yeah, we can do that too. So again, I haven't fully looked at the template that Dr. Bittman sent me, but I'll have to run through that and I'll create it and then I'll send it out to you hopefully early next week, just for you two to double check, and then I can always kind of show you how it works as well before go live. Okay, perfect. Yeah, no problem. So that was kind of the documentation. Again, just wanted to quickly show, so Nadia brought up, are you able to copy from other people? So if you go to your auto text copy again, if you go to this user search, you can type in again the user that you want to search or copy auto text from, and then it will populate kind of their list, and then you'll just select what you want. I believe, let's see if I can find one. Or maybe not, that's okay. But yeah, you would type in the patient's, the user's name here, and then copy their auto text as well. Any questions on that? No? Okay. So then we'll just jump into Message Center, just kind of the last topic that I have on our agenda. Again, I'm sure most of you are familiar with the Message Center functionalities. Basically like an email, you'll get your notes or your documents in here. You'll get results in here that you've been CC'd on, or your orders, any documents again that you've been CC'd on. Again, if some of you have kind of your own private EMR and get sent information to there from either Care Connect or Acceleris, you might have already done it, but there is an opt-out option to opt out of all results, just so then you don't kind of get them duplicated to your inbox here and then your personal EMR. So again, I'm not too sure if everyone's done that, but there is that option. Please send me an email if you do kind of get them duplicated, sent to you, and then we can always I can always help you figure that out as well. Unfortunately, it's kind of an all or nothing for the opt-in, opt-out. For this, so there isn't really a setting to separate kind of outpatient and inpatient results or documents. Yeah. So then I think the GIM clinic has a pool. And usually for this pool, what they're used for is just kind of sharing results within the whole clinic. So this is where you'll access the pool, is you'll select the tab here, and then you'll click Manage. And then you'll find your available pool here, if I can find it. There is a pool, I know there is. Oh, sorry, I've already added it, that's why it's already here on this side. So you're already kind of set up, so you'll search for that pool, you'll opt into the pool and then select OK. And then here you'll kind of drop down and then select the pool. Again, this still works as kind of like an inbox, except multiple providers would have access to this pool. So I think it's general internal medicine and vascular that have their separate pools. Yeah. Any questions on Message Center at all? Nope. Yep. Yeah. I mean, so the thing with progress notes, and I think it just comes back to like what. So if you do create a progress note, it still gets saved in the patient's file. So if you go to documentation, like it still saves it here. However, it's like for it to get sent to, say, the patient's primary care physician, progress notes won't get sent to them because they won't get sent to Acceleris, and then the patient or the patient's primary care doctor won't get that note. So that's the only reason. So go ahead. Yeah. I mean, you can always, yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. So yeah, so that's that kind of comes kind of the end of our presentation. Are there any questions that have come up on anything? Yeah, Nadia? Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, yeah. Like, like anything that you've, yeah, so you can do, it's not really a discharge note, but it's kind of like a summary. Is that kind of what you're talking about? So, I believe it's still on here, and if you go to more, there's an outpatient summary, an outpatient visit summary. So if you select that, it gives you kind of everything. It would populate everything here that you've kind of discussed, and then your recommendation. So this is kind of the visit summary. You can save that. The only, again though, like what you're saying, from Cerner, there isn't really a way to send it from here. You would have to kind of print it out or save as a PDF, and then email it to them. Or save as PDF or print as PDF. Yeah. Is it Gil? I think it's, yeah. Yeah. Yep. It'll ask to send or who to send to. So, for example, let's just say we do this note. Oh, there's an error in here. Kind of do this. Oh, it already contains an addenda, of course. So then if you go into it to create an addenda, hold on. I don't think I can do it to this one. But anyways, yeah, it will ask you. So the same thing when you sign a note, and you know how like it asks you kind of who to CC. It'll be the same thing for if you create an addenda or edit a note. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's only progress notes that don't. So usually like, yeah, yeah. Good. Anna? That's Yeah, so if you want one that's that you kind of create on your own, that's kind of going back to the auto text copy. So if you have something like a template that's already created, you can kind of copy and paste it into here. So if you go to your auto text copy here, and then go to manage auto text, this button here, and then you go to this plus button, it'll open up, and then you can copy and paste anything that that you want kind of here, like your own template, and then you can save it as something. So say you save it as comma summary, and then your and then you can do your name if you want there, so you know that it's kind of your own summary, and then save it. And then once you type something, you can save it, and then when you go create kind of your document or your summary document, you would go to the free text. When you open a free text, it'll be blank, and that's when you would do like your comma, and then you do like and then you type in what you saved it as, and then it'll populate. Yeah, outpatient chart. Yeah, so you click more, and then it's outpatient visit summary. Yeah. Yeah, no problem. Okay, any other questions? We'll just come into the, yep. Yeah, we can do that go live. Again, like I think I mentioned for your hypertension, because Dr. Bittman just sent me the templates that your clinic would be using. So once I create them, I can just kind of email you kind of what it looks like. And then if you wanted to kind of set a one-on-one, or since it's already created during go live, I can just show you how it works, and then I can always change things kind of on the fly if you need. So yeah, so then we can kind of do that. Again, if you wanted to kind of create your own, we can always try to set up a one-on-one, and I can just show you some of the functionalities for auto text. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. No, that's okay. That's okay. Okay. Again, we have 5 more minutes, but I'll ask one more time. Any other questions? Again, we'll be on site during the 2 weeks of go live to help with anything. We'll be in the clinic, so feel free to kind of ask us if you have any questions or issues during that time. There'll be kind of lots of support there, so I know it's always a little stressful for new things to happen. So, okay, if that's it, thank you everyone for joining. Again, for some of the other providers who weren't able to make it, we've recorded this session, and then we'll kind of post it so it can be accessed for anyone that needs to review it. And then hopefully some of the questions that you've asked throughout will help them as well. So thank you again. Yeah, no problem. Have a good evening. Bye. Thanks. Hopefully the recording saved. Yeah. Okay, yeah, you too. See ya.